Everybody, welcome to the last lecture about consonants. This will be short. This is just going to be about voicing. So let me share my screen with you and we will get started. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about voicing. So this is really uh, the last part of how we categorize consonants. So we talked about place of articulation and where it sits on the IPA chart. We talked about manner of articulation and where that sits on the IPA chart. Now, in the international IPA chart, sounds are often put in one cell as pairs, and the one on the left is voiceless and the one on the right is voiced. In our chart, we have it as a separate row. So let's talk about that. All right. So voicing is just a term for your vocal cords moving. So if your vocal cords are moving in a sound, and you can feel it if you put your hand on your throat. So if you say vowel sound, E, O, ah, you can feel your vocal cords moving for all vowels. In consonants, however, there is often a voiceless and a voiced pair. So, for example, p is a voiceless sound, but b is its voiced counterpart. Okay, and it's a good way to remember these is to memorize them as pairs. Okay, rather than trying to learn them independently. So, the glottal stop is a voiceless sound. So just so you are aware. And I mention that because often if we see a symbol on the IPA chart on its own, so for example, the nasals are all voiced sounds. They stand alone on the chart. They do not have a pair. So when they're standing alone, they are voiced. The glottal stop would be this exception. It's by itself in the chart, but it is not a voice sound. It is voiceless. Okay. So as I mentioned, it's good to remember these. We call them cognate pairs. Sometimes people refer to them as minimal pairs. They have the same place and manner. The only difference between them is voicing. And this is important because often if you're teaching a child a sound, you will teach them these sounds as pairs, unless the problem is that they have one of the sounds and they're producing it the wrong way. So sometimes a type of error is a voicing error. So they can produce the sound with or without voicing. So we just talked about you can feel your vocal cords moving. I recently was working with a group of students in clinic, and I kind of compared it to the sound that kazoo makes. So it's a buzzing sound, okay? So obviously, it's not that loud when we hear it, but that's, I think, a good analogy to try and explain it to a child as well. All right. So you can say these words to yourself. I'd pause the video, say the words, and see if you can feel your vocal cords moving and figure out which ones they're moving on, which ones they're not moving on. Okay. So as I mentioned in our chart, our simplified IPA chart, they are listed as voiceless and voiced in two separate rows. Okay, so that's it for voicing. I said it was going to be short, so I will see you guys in class. Bye.